Have you ever let someone's small remark ruin your entire day? Maybe a friend made a casual joke, and you kept replaying it in your head all night long. Maybe someone honked aggressively in traffic, and your blood instantly started boiling. Or perhaps a tiny mistake happened at home, and you ended up shouting so loudly that the whole house fell silent in tension. But the hard truth is this: no one can actually make you angry. You are the one who quietly opens the door and lets the anger walk right in. Once, in a medium-sized city, there lived a man named Ethon. Ethon's anger was so well known that people around him walked on eggshells. If the price at a shop seemed even slightly high, argument. If a colleague misplaced a file at the office, shouting match. Even if his daughter's phone rang just a few seconds longer than usual, he would slam it down in fury. Ethon would snap back irritably. He always believed, the whole world is wrong. People are foolish and disrespectful. I have to protect my self-respect at any cost. What he never understood was that he had already handed over the key to his inner peace to every single person he met. His wife Sarah would gently try to explain again and again. Ethon, it's natural to feel anger sometimes, but holding on to it is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Ethon would snap back irritably. If I stay silent, everyone will think I'm weak. I have to give them a fitting reply. One cold winter afternoon, just outside the city, stood a small, quiet retreat. An elderly sage lived there. His name was Elias. His face carried such deep, unshakable peace that merely looking at him made the restless mind slow down. He spoke very little, but every word he spoke went straight into the heart and stayed there. People in the city used to whisper, "Meet Sage Elias once." Even the worst anger melts away on its own. One day, Sarah said to Ethon with quiet concern, "You stay so troubled and restless all the time. Please go meet Sage Elias just once. Maybe you'll find a little relief." Ethon laughed it away mockingly. "What will a sage teach me? They have renounced the world. I have to fight real battles every single day." But the very next day, something happened that broke something inside him. It was an important office meeting. Ethon had poured weeks of hard work into preparing a perfect presentation. The boss glanced at it for barely 2 minutes and said coldly, "This is completely useless. Redo the entire thing from scratch." Ethon's anger erupted like a volcano. He shouted, argued, banged the table so hard the room shook. He was humiliated in front of the entire team. On the long ride home, his chest felt so heavy he could hardly breathe. That night, sleep refused to come. He kept replaying the scene over and over. And then the question struck him like lightning. Why do I feel even worse after shouting? Why does it always feel like I hurt myself the most? Before the sun rose, he found himself walking toward the retreat. Sage Elias was sitting under an ancient oak tree behind the retreat, eyes gently closed, leaves whispering in the soft morning breeze. Ethon stood there awkwardly for a moment, then spoke in a low, broken voice. "Sage Elias, I am completely defeated. The smallest things make me furious. People provoke me, and I just cannot stop myself. No sleep at night, no peace during the day. I'm exhausted. Sage Elias slowly opened his eyes and gave the kindest smile. "Sit down, my child." Then he asked softly, "When anger rises inside you, how long does it stay?" Ethan thought for a moment. "Sometimes a few hours, sometimes a whole day, and sometimes it keeps burning quietly inside me for weeks." "And when that anger finally leaves, how do you feel?" Ethan let out a long, heavy sigh. "Empty, drained, full of regret, as if I've lost something very precious that I can never get back." Sage Elias picked up a small pebble and dropped it into the nearby pond. Ripples spread instantly. The water trembled. Everything became unclear. "Look, right now, your reflection is not visible clearly in the water. When the mind is disturbed, the truth disappears." Then he lifted a simple glass of still water. "This water is peaceful right now. If I drop mud into it, what happens?" Ethan replied quietly, "It becomes dirty. And if I keep shaking and stirring it, will the dirt ever settle? No, it will stay muddy forever." Sage Elias nodded slowly. "That is exactly what anger does. When you react again and again, you keep disturbing the mud, but if you simply stop, stay still, the dirt settles on its own, and the water becomes clear once more." Ethan sat in complete silence. For the first time in years, he understood. All this time, he had been the one boiling his own water. The next morning, Sage Elias gave him a small, simple practice. Whenever anger begins to rise, stop everything immediately. Take 5 slow, deep breaths. Silently repeat inside, "This poison does not belong to me. I will not hold it." Then quietly walk away from the situation. Ethan began trying. The first few times felt almost impossible. Old habits fought back fiercely. One evening in the crowded market, a taxi driver demanded extra fare. Ethan's blood rushed to his head. He wanted to shout, to argue, to teach a lesson, but he forced himself to stop. He closed his eyes for a second, took 5 deep breaths, then said calmly, "Okay, I'll walk instead." And he simply turned and left. That night, after so many restless years, he slept like a child. His mind felt strangely light, almost free. But the real test of transformation always comes when you least expect it. One Sunday afternoon, some old college friends dropped by unexpectedly. They started teasing him the way they always used to. "Hey, Ethan, where is that fire of yours? You used to burn everything down. Now what? Have you become a saint or something?" They laughed loudly, expecting the old Ethan to flare up. Inside Ethan, a familiar fire began to rise. His fists tightened. His mind screamed, "Answer them! Show them who you really are!" And then, Sage Elias's gentle voice echoed clearly in his head. "Do not react. Do not hand over your power." Ethan took one long breath, then another. He looked at them and smiled. "You're right. I used to live in that fire. Now I live in peace. And honestly, this feels so much better." The room fell silent. They stared at him, completely stunned. One friend finally asked in a low voice, How did you become so calm?" Ethan answered softly, "When someone hands you a cup of poison, it is not necessary to drink it. I simply stopped drinking poison." Months passed, and Ethan had truly changed. Laughter returned to the house. His daughter now ran to him to share her small joys and worries. Sarah would look at him with quiet pride and say, "Now, there is real peace in our home." One quiet evening he returned to the retreat. He bowed low before Sage Elias and said with folded hands, "Sage Elias, now I understand deeply. No one was making me angry. It was always my own mind inviting the anger inside. Now, in every moment, I choose anger or peace, and I choose peace." Sage Elias smiled with infinite warmth. "You've learned beautifully, my child. Life will keep testing you, again and again, but every single time you remain calm, your inner strength grows twice as strong." Ethon asked one last question. "Will people ever stop trying to provoke me?" Sage Elias laughed softly. "When the storm realizes you no longer sway, it eventually gets tired and moves on by itself." Today, Ethon is known across the city as the most peaceful man anyone has ever met. Whenever someone feels troubled, people quietly suggest, "Go talk to Ethon, he will listen, and somehow your heart will feel lighter." He always tells them the same thing. Peace is never found in outer silence. It lives in the silence you create inside. When you allow anger to come, and then allow it to leave, life suddenly becomes clear, beautiful, and unbelievably light again. One day, a little child tugged at his sleeve and asked innocently, "Uncle, do you really never get angry anymore?" Ethon smiled down at the child. "It still comes sometimes, but now I treat it like an uninvited guest. I let it enter. I let it sit for a little while, and then I politely show it the door. I no longer let anger make a home inside me." And then he looked up at the open sky and said quietly, "The day I stopped clutching anger tightly was the day I truly began to live." We cannot stop people from saying hurtful things. We cannot prevent problems from arriving at our door. But we can absolutely stop them from having the power to steal our peace. Every reaction is a choice. Every peaceful moment is a quiet victory. The person who masters his own reactions eventually masters his entire life. So the next time someone tries to disturb your calm, take a slow, deep breath, let a small smile come, and whisper inside yourself, "Thank you, but this poison is not mine. I choose not to drink it." You may not be able to change the entire world, but changing how you respond to it, that power has always been and will always remain completely yours. Real strength is never in shouting the loudest. Real strength is staying steady in the middle of the storm, remaining calm when everything pushes you to break, and smiling softly while saying, "I will not surrender my peace to anyone." If this story touched something deep inside you, please pass it on to someone who might need a little peace today.